How you doing, guys?
What's up, everyone? Good to see y'all again.
Absolutely. I'm your boy, Lee Mack.
I'm your boy, Carlos.
This is Some Young Guys, trying to solve the world's problems in a podcast.
That's right. Let's get right to it.
Yeah. What are we getting to? What are we getting to? How was your week? Let's start there.
My week has been pretty good. You know, I worked a couple overtime days. Started seeing a lot of spiking COVID again.
Oh, of course.
Some more COVID people coming in.
Yep.
The flu, RSV, that's a big one. You know, respiratory infection.
Yeah.
And then I got sick.
But you don't have COVID.
I don't have COVID. I did 2 tests. They both came out negative. Not like right away within each, like 5 minutes within each time or anything, but like a day apart, just to make sure.
Yeah.
Both came out negative. I'm okay. I'm gonna say it was more like a head cold. That's how it felt. Just kind of like
sore throat, sneezing, that type of thing.
Trouble sleeping, hella sweating every once in a while. Like, it's weird.
Yeah, that'll happen.
But
I haven't had a good fever dream in a while.
It's all right.
Sick very often.
I've been medicating hella heavy. Like, fair. I don't like taking pills and stuff like that. But the only thing I do take is like zinc.
Zinc is really good.
100 milligrams of that. And then the emergency packs of vitamin C. That's about it. Water, hydrate, eat right.
Right on.
I think that's the cure of everything, honestly.
Yeah, for the most part, like if you're dehydrated, if you don't have the nutrients you need, those 2 things will definitely help you get over most of the things that you're going to deal with sickness-wise. In the day-to-day, at least. Obviously, there's diseases that need more than just that. That's why penicillin exists. But anyways, yeah.
Specifically that one.
That was just the first one I thought of. I wasn't thinking of Oxycontin because that's really just a painkiller. Penicillin, actually, I know it's an antibiotic. Yeah, so that's bacteria.
Good.
Yeah. I'm not the medical expert. That's all his job. And he is an expert. I want you to know that you can. No, I'm kidding.
Don't take advice from me, bro. Just go to the hospital.
Yeah, that's all jokes. Don't take advice from us. We are not
professionals.
I'm not a medical professional.
In any way or form. We just have opinions.
Yes. Yeah, this is an opinion show.
If you would like to take our opinions into action and advice,
we hold no liability. That's
your
entirely
issue.
on you.
Yeah. So
yeah, I can tell you about welding a little bit, but that's pretty much it. And the world, obviously the world a little bit because I do some reading. Speaking of the world, we are just like, I know we talk about this all the time, but like we're just getting closer and closer to World War III, man. Mm-hmm. It's kind of sketch, kinda. It's very sketchy. Russia armed and like threatened to use nuclear missiles against us, which is phenomenal. We love that. Love to hear it. They deployed I think it's called the Sarmat missile. Its nickname is Satan 2.
Nice.
And basically it's just a MIRV, a multiple, what's it called? It's basically it's one bomb that splits into like 15 bombs and carpet bombs an entire area.
Oh shit.
And each of those 15 bombs
like mini nukes
are basically mini nukes.
Oh,
yeah.
Fuck.
And also, I don't know if you knew this, but nukes, for nuclear fallout, you have to build that into the nuke. There isn't fallout automatically. So if you want radiation afterwards, you can definitely build that into it. But for the most part, you don't need, like most nukes aren't, it's just the nuclear technology makes the blast bigger, and you can choose based on what materials you use, whether or not it has radiation fallout afterwards.
Interesting.
So it's not that bad for the people around that aren't hurt by the immediate explosion. So that's good, depending on whether or not they build it that way. But yeah, nukes are scary. Anyways.
Fuck yeah, they are.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
What am I going to do?
Yeah, like, I mean, there's nothing you can really do if it lands, like, within your radius.
Yeah, if you can see it go off, you're probably screwed.
Yeah.
That's basically, that's a good rule of thumb. Actually, I don't know if anyone here has played the game Fallout. Have you played Fallout?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Fallout, Vault Boy, the guy that's like doing this, the thumbs up, that was a thing that they used to teach like back in the 70s or 60s and 70s when nukes were a lot scarier and we had the Cuban Missile Crisis and all of those things. Basically, if you put your thumb out, closed one eye, and you could cover the entire mushroom cloud with your thumb, then you were fine. You were not in the blast radius. Now, whether or not that's entirely true, I don't know. Because they said a lot of stuff like hide under the desk. That is not going to save you. That's to give you a sense of security before you get blown away. Luckily with a nuke, though, if you're in that immediate blast radius, it's a very quick and painless death.
Yeah, so run towards it if you can see it.
That's not what we're saying. That is not what we're saying.
I'm just saying.
Pray if you can see it. If you can see it, pray. Try and get to some cover if you have a basement nearby or a really
get right with
thick,
God.
like real thick concrete between you and the blast, like a building you could run into where there's a lot of concrete, a basement, something like that. Then yeah,
get right with God, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. That you should do that anyways. Whether it's World War III or we're going into utopia tomorrow, you should get right with God because really heaven is utopia. There's no utopia on earth. That's impossible because every human system is going to fail. It's really the case. Unfortunately. But speaking of like World War III nuclear fallout, I actually rebuilt my bug out bags this week.
Oh, did you?
I did, yeah. For not much of a good, I actually bought a couple of filters for a gas mask because I have two like full face plastic covering the face.
Where'd you get that?
I got it Amazon.
Oh,
I got the mask on Amazon, and then I got the filters on this website called Mira Safety. And they have masks, but their masks are kind of expensive. You don't need all that. But their filters also kind of expensive. They're like $80 a filter. But they're supposed to be really, really top-notch filters.
Got you.
They only apparently last for like 12 to 24 hours using them. But, I mean, that's, for the most part, all you're going to need if you really need the filter. Like I was saying, nuclear fallout is not necessarily going to happen if we were to get nuked kind of thing. So having the gas mask, you really would only need it for the first 12 to 24 hours, and then you want to like get somewhere and wash your body off and make sure you don't inhale any particles because you can still get radiation poisoning from the dust. That's the main thing, is that when that nuke explodes, there's a lot of dust that's going to fall from the sky, and that is radiated. And then there's these like little pills you can get for really cheap. They're potassium iodide, I believe is what they are. It's for making sure that you can get all of the nuclear radiation, the radioactive material out of your system.
And water.
Helps. Yes, drink a lot of water.
Just be careful where you grab it from because it might be contaminated.
Yeah, don't drink out of the lake or the river. There are ways that you can purify water. There's iodine tablets, and then there's all kinds of water purification methods. You can get those life straws. Have you seen those? Life straws are sick. I have some of those. I built bug out bags at the beginning of COVID. I got a whole bunch of stuff for building my bug out bag. And then after moving up here, I got a few more things. And then just this last weekend, I bought those filters because if you're going to have a gas mask, you should probably have pretty good filters. And then I bought some more mags for my guns and what else? That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But I just reorganized everything. I have a bag in my trunk. I have a bag in my house. And, just clothes, underwear, safety kit, like first aid stuff, a tourniquet in case you ever need that. A survival book. That's another thing that you want to have in a bug out bag is like, because the whole point of a bug out bag is you grab that one bag and you run out the door because that's all you need in the event that there's war, there's a bombing, there's whatever, maybe like the power goes out and you have no idea what's going to happen. Because that's another thing that people need to be aware of is like, if you live in a big city and the power goes out completely, like say we get EMP'd and the entire power grid is just down indefinitely, you have 2 or 3 days before people go crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Because one, if
this is out,
that's probably going to be out. You want to get yourself like a portable solar charger. Those are good. But phone service is probably going to be out. So if you can download a survival booklet onto your phone and have a little portable phone charger that's solar powered, that's going to be a lifesaver. And then you could also download a map so that you won't be able to see your location on the map, but learn how to read a map and where you're at and how far you went from this location, that kind of thing.
It's very important.
Very, very important. Maybe even a star map so that you can see like a map of the sky so you can see what direction you're going, because it's very easy to get lost if you're in the woods. You need to use the stars. It's very easy to walk in a 2-mile circle for an hour. You know, like you walk 2 miles and you realize you just did a big loop because you walked through the woods, and, you know, you're twisting and turning. You don't know if you're turning right way more than you're turning left, or even just a little bit more than you're turning left.
Yeah, that's why I like when I was in the fire service. It was nice knowing how to read a map. A lot of them would be like, grab a map book and learn how to use it. And it's like, well, fuck, dude, I don't know how to use it. And some of them would be like, all right, this is how you look at it. This is what you look for. This is, you know. And other people would be like, it's like, you have eyes, you can read, or you can. I was like, fuck, dude, okay. Well, then that kind of integrated me to like kind of really in depth learn or like look at a map and really look at the divisions and like the graphics, the what are they called, the degrees of certain areas and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, this is kind of like, this is interesting.
Yeah, it's honestly really fun. I kind of want to go on a survival trip at some point, like go out in the woods and survive for a little bit, like just a tent, a gun, and because, you know, if there are bears in the area, if we're out here in the Tahoe forest, granted, the woods out here technically fall into California territory, and I really just don't want to deal with that, because if I'm just wandering around in the woods and I have a gun, I could just like get scooped up by the feds. Who knows? Probably not. The feds aren't usually hanging out in the woods, but regardless.
I mean, I tell you where somewhere you can go with the gun. No one will say anything.
Well, I know a few places out here as far as like
Skinwalker
just going
Ranch.
Shooting. Skinwalker Ranch. That's not what I was saying, but yeah, sure.
But it's survival.
It is. It is. Yeah, I definitely do want to go on like a week-long camping trip and try and survive, live off the land type of thing. That'd be fun. It'd be challenging. But yeah, it'd be fun.
It's like, all right, Lee Mac, I'll check on you in a week. Fucking
Yeah,
come back,
right.
Tarzan looking ass.
Granted,
You'll look good, bro. Honestly,
maybe
you'll be a sexy ass Tarzan.
I'll be emaciated. Fucking eating bark.
Any
Killing
other
bark on
civilian
trees.
sees you, I know, right? They'll be
Yeah.
like, "Hey,
I
Burning
saw a
Man's that way.
skinwalker out there.
Burning Man's that way, sir."
Burning Man's that way. Oh man, that was actually Burning Man just happened this last week, and apparently, so there was this video that came out of the police, like, so there were people protesting Burning Man,
I saw that shit.
and the police just like ran through their protest and like tackled them, had their knee on their back, and apparently what had happened was, this is what I heard. I don't know for sure if this is the case, but what it seems like is someone called the cops about this protest because they were blocking the road, and they were like, you should get someone out here before someone gets shot because they're blocking the road. And that's what the dispatcher hears from whoever calls the cops. Then the dispatcher relays that information to the police officer, and what the police officer hears is someone might have a gun, or someone does have a gun, something like that. Someone's going to get shot, something. And so he goes in thinking that there's a gun, and he's like, get on the ground, where's the gun? Apparently, I haven't watched this video in a minute, but apparently you can hear the cop saying, where's the gun, where's the gun, when he's taking those people down, which is interesting. But it makes sense. And I mean, like, honestly, I can't blame the cops. Like, when I see police brutality videos, there are definitely a lot of them where I'm like, yeah, that cop went way too far. He did not need to use that much force. But at the same time, I do understand, for some of these at least, you don't know what someone is holding. I've seen way too many videos of police training and, you know, a cop talking to individual citizens in a training setting where he's like, all right, now come at me. Or like they're just going through scenarios where someone pulls a gun, and you can pull a gun real fast. It's so easy to pull out a gun quickly and get a few shots off before someone has time to react. So a police officer, not knowing who you are, not knowing what your intentions are, it's entirely understandable why they might be on edge most of the time. So especially if you're getting pulled over, do everything you can to put yourself and the police officer in a situation where they're as at ease as possible. So like if you get pulled over and there's not really a safe place to pull over, try and get to an exit so that if it's at night, a very well lit area, maybe a gas station, that would be a good one and the cop can't, like, they might be impatient with you if you took too long to get off the freeway and to a gas station. But if you put your hazard lights on, make it very obvious that you are going to pull over, cops are usually going to just trail you. They're not going to think you're running unless you try and take off. They'll usually be pretty patient and actually appreciative if you do pull yourself and the police officer into an area where it's safer for the cop to, talk to you, see what they pulled you over for, all of that. But, oh man, why did I get on this tangent of...
It's okay. Preach.
I guess. I mean, not really trying to preach, but...
Just kidding. No.
Oh, I've seen too many videos of, like,
of what's
people
going on?
getting shot, too. Like, people just tanking bullets, like, whether it's they're on drugs or they've just got a lot of adrenaline, and both of those are equally possible. You don't necessarily have to be on drugs to just tank rounds as if they didn't hit you. Because I've seen videos of cops empty a mag and the guy just keeps on coming at him. And that's terrifying, especially if that person has a gun.
The motherfucker is like, I don't know. I've seen those videos too.
Yeah.
Like people get shot, like literally blasted, like a whole fucking clip.
Yeah.
And
in
this
the
guy's
chest.
still running.
Like fucking center mass. Obviously, if you get shot in the head, that's a different story. You're probably going down right away. But center mass, unless they, hit your spinal column, you're probably just going to tank those rounds. Yeah, you'll probably bleed out, but not before you, either get some shots off on your own or whatever weapon you might be holding, get some hits in. Because I also saw a video of a lady cop approaching this guy. I guess there might have been a noise complaint or a domestic violence complaint. This guy walks out of his house holding a hammer, and she's like, "Sir, would you mind putting the hammer down, putting that down?" He's like, "No." And then he sprints at her, and she barely gets her gun out, and he just starts going in on her. You hear a few shots go off. You can't really tell whether or not she hits him, but he's definitely hitting her. And that's terrifying. Like, I get why cops are on edge all the time, and I think they don't get enough credit, in my opinion.
Also, a lot of people think for that same specific reason, they're like, "Oh, why did the cop didn't stop shooting, or why did he empty his clip?" Because for those specific reasons. I mean, many of them can be on drugs. Many of them can have adrenaline. Like, people don't know what your body's capable of, and they can actually do a lot of things. Like, it can take a lot of bullets before it actually drops.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're just jacked on adrenaline, you can do a lot of things before you actually drop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why you see cops just kind of just like, dropping that clip on someone because that's what it is, And
I'm fairly certain you're trained to, if you open fire at someone, if you have visibility that you're getting all of your shots on target, you're trained to empty your mag. I'm fairly certain you're trained to empty your mag, and all of your rounds are accounted for. If you discharge your weapon at all as a police officer, you have to track that.
Also, a lot of people think police officers just want to shoot people. I can't speak for them.
There are definitely some. Like, I've seen plenty of videos of cops power tripping. Like, they think that their king should have fucked mountain is the term that Adam uses that I think is hilarious, but it's a great term.
And, but, they're also trained into de-escalating the situation with talking. Maybe not a lot of them are good at that, but that's what they are trained for. The gun, using your weapon is the last thing they want to do on anyone.
Especially nowadays where everything's on video. They're going to be investigated. There's going to be a lot of paperwork. They might lose their job. Like, I don't think any cop really, really intends to kill people when they go and put their uniform on. There are definitely some, so I shouldn't say I don't think any cop. There are definitely some that are there because they want the power, they like the power, they want that license to kill, but it's definitely not the majority, in my opinion. I haven't spoken to every cop. I've got a few family members that are cops, and for the most part, they're just like they're just conservative dudes that like protecting their family, kind of thing. That's basically what it is. And being a cop is relatively honorable if you're actually protecting and serving the community. There are a lot of cops that I've seen doing great things for the community. You know, being a father figure for kids in bad neighborhoods. That's something that's very necessary.
Right.
If there's any good reason to become a cop, that's a great reason to become a cop. That is, like, I've seen that, and it's just beautiful. Like,
I just think that, you know, that you can't really say, like, oh, if you're on the cop side, you're against all, like, certain minority groups or something like that. Like, that's not true. Not all cops, just like they're not all politicians, not all doctors, not all firefighters, not all, you know, whatever type of figure is respected and honored is going to be a good person. You know, they're still a person. So, like, you're going to have your good, and then you're going to have your bad. You know, it's just a matter of time before, like, either one gets either honored or the other one gets, like, dishonored. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
You know, it will show. It will come to light who truly is a nice person and who's not. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
You know, and I think they still, all of them have a lot of things to learn, like, just like us humans.
Everybody does.
Yeah, I think everyone should just acknowledge themselves and really reflect and try to become better. Where am I going? But yeah, I just think that
it was good.
I just think that, you know, a lot of people judge certain groups, certain, you know, agencies, government, or just any professional job, and says, like, well, they're out to get us. You know, another thing I actually want to talk about is how, like, a lot of people see, like, the rich and how inequality is spread within, you know, like, taxing the rich. Like, how come they get priority, we don't? You know, just like that. Like, there's good rich people, and then there's bad rich people that, you know, like to use people to gain profit on their own product, you know?
Absolutely. And if we're being honest about it, like, rich people are paying the majority of the taxes that are paid in the country.
No, yeah, they are.
I think the numbers on it are like 70% of all income tax is paid by the 1%, because they just make so much more money. But part of the reason they make so much more money is because they're adding so much more to society in terms of, you know, Apple made the iPhone and so many people want an iPhone. How can you expect the company Apple to not be worth billions of dollars?
Do you know who's making the most profit out of Apple?
Who?
Take a guess.
Like a person or what
Like,
branch of the company?
Just country.
What country? Oh, China, probably.
No,
Really?
wrong. That's like maybe the seventh in line. They're like making 3% out of iPhone.
Oh, wow. I know they build it. So, yeah, it doesn't make that. That makes a lot of sense because the labor in building an iPhone is very cheap. We use essentially child and slave labor for pretty much everything we have that's nice.
Which those laws only apply to America, as in, like, child labor and all that stuff like that.
That's why all of our manufacturing is outsourced to those countries, because we can do it cheap. And then we can upsell everything by 500%, which is insane.
And then America's blamed because, yeah, it is wrong, but China does not put a cap on that. So they're both wrong.
Yep.
But anyways, the person that benefits the most, the country that benefits the most is Japan and Germany?
Really?
Yeah. Fucking weird.
What is Japan doing for Apple?
I have no fucking clue. Maybe the whole, like, actual, what do you call it?
Because I know Taiwan makes a lot of our chips, like our computer chips.
And it's
I know that the glass, the Gorilla Glass that they use on iPhones is the same glass they use for Samsungs. And Samsung is a Japanese company. So that might be one thing, if I remember correctly. I think Samsung is a Japanese company. So they might be getting the glass and the case itself from Japan.
maybe. That's interesting, actually.
That's possible.
And then Germany, which is weird.
That
They're
is
like,
interesting.
They're like second.
It's Japan and Germany, though?
Yeah, Japan.
First and second?
Japan is like number one, and then it's Germany, and then I think it's Switzerland, which is weird.
Interesting.
I know.
I didn't know that.
And then U.S. is like, maybe 1 or 2 percentages above China. So we barely make anything off of iPhone,
which is wild.
Which is why Japan is super advanced because they have so much money to spend.
Yeah.
Just like Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, Japan is a very, very tech heavy country. I would love to visit Japan.
I would love to do.
That is one of my, actually, like the only place that I seriously intend to visit before I die. Like bucket list. I don't really care about the other countries for the most part, but Japan, I'm a huge weeb. I'm actually wearing an anime shirt right now. It's Sasuke. No,
Itachi.
It is Itachi. Yeah, the black one is Sasuke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is Itachi. Anyways, yeah, I'm a huge weeb. I'd like to visit Japan.
Me too. I think that's one of my top. You know, my number 1 was Switzerland. Number 2 was Japan. And number 3, I think it would have to be like Norway or something like that.
Norway is actually very beautiful. Norway would be awesome. Japan for me, one, I've always liked martial arts movies. I really like drifting and cars and car culture, and drifting came from Japan. And then of course anime. And then actually I really want to snowboard in Japan too.
Ooh, I heard
because the mountains in Japan, you can go snowboarding out there. That is what I intend to do when I visit. Because it's gonna happen. I don't know when, but it's gonna happen.
Hey man, let me know. I'm already taking a big trip soon, so I'm like, hey.
So maybe in another couple of years.
Yeah, it's quite affordable if you plan it right.
Yeah, if you plan it right, for sure. And if you get more than one person to go with you, then it becomes cheaper. Even cheaper. Yeah.
Funny thing though, Japan. I was watching this like little short clip documentary on TikTok. Apparently, Japan adopted the culture of cholos, like Mexican cholos. So there's a lot of Japanese out there that respect and admire the culture of Mexican cholo gangsters.
Really?
Yeah. So
I did not know that.
They were showing this whole street, and like guys were dressed like in like the flannel,
with the top mustache and like the white tee. That's so funny.
With the Cortezes, you'd be like, "What's up, fool?" And I was like, "What?
Are you serious? Yeah, that's awesome."
And I'm like, "Oh, we in."
I love that.
We in.
That's so cool. That is so cool. I love that so much. That's hilarious.
I find it hilarious.
I never would have guessed that. Mm-hmm. That is amazing.
It's crazy.
That's beautiful. Don't you love cultures just like coming together and like I absolutely hate this whole white liberal rage towards like the cultural appropriation, because I've seen so many videos of people like wearing the outfits of other cultures, and this dude he'll wear like a kimono or something and walk around a college campus and say like ask all kinds of people, none of them Japanese, and he's like, does this outfit offend you? And they're all like, are you Japanese? And he's like, no. And they're like, well, yeah, it's kind of offensive, blah 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 blah.
It's like racist or something.
Yeah, exactly. And then he goes and asks people from the culture of the clothing he's wearing, and they're like, no, it looks very good, job. And it's like, why is it so popular to be offended for other people?
I just think that certain groups started this whole like, that's offensive. White people that don't have anything else to do, like professors from school.
Yes,
it is racist to be like this. Like, well, bro, have you not? Like, I've seen shows and documentaries about Hispanic people being really fucking racist.
Oh, dude.
Like, and there's a part that made so much sense. It's like a lot of people don't understand how racist Mexicans are. The same thing they do in the borders of USA to Mexicans, the Mexicans do the same thing to the border of Guatemala and Mexico. We don't want Guatemalans in Mexico, so we do the same thing that the U.S. does to Mexicans. But no one's going to show that. But they show like the whole like, oh, they keep us away. They're flying drones so they can see us where we run to, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, like we do the same shit too, bro. Well, yeah, Mexican people do the same shit too, And then, like, someone commented on the bottom of that video saying, like, chill out before Latinx finds out and gets offended. That's another one, bro.
That one's insane. But it's true. Like, every other culture, from what I understand, when people talk about institutional racism in the United States, yes, there is some leftover. There are definitely effects from slavery and from all of the different laws that were in place to keep minorities out of positions of power, out of influential positions of any sort, out of whatever industries they might wanted to join. and there are leftover effects of that. However, if you really want to get into actual institutional racism, pretty much every other country is way more racial or racist institutionally than the US. Japan, they do not let outsiders in. China, do not let outsiders in, especially black people, unfortunately. China, when the movie the Star Wars came out with Finn, not the first black character in Star Wars because Mace Windu, but it was the first Disney Star Wars movie with Finn. They actually downsized Finn in the poster. They either downsized him, made him smaller, or just took him off completely because they wanted to appeal to the Chinese audience. And this is Disney doing this. And so what that means to me is that Disney doesn't actually care about race issues. They just want to make money. And what bothers me so much is that so many people that are these liberals that are screaming about their virtue signaling, they're, saying all these things, all these buzzwords of like being anti-racist, being all of these, loving, compassionate things while doing zero research into the causes that they're fighting for. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Just because really they're bored and they don't have any challenges that are actually, making their lives difficult. So they find something to be upset about and then they make it their cause.
I just feel like it's another experiment from the government. Just like
there
how
is that.
They chop drugs in poor minority groups back in the 80s, 70s?
Yeah, this was the crack epidemic in the 80s.
Yeah.
They dropped crack. The CIA dropped crack into
I think it's
predominantly minority groups, predominantly black neighborhoods. Yeah, it's very much the same thing.
I feel like it's like one of them, let's imply it in school.
Yep.
And let's just
it's a psyop.
Let them roll with it.
It's a psyop. They're trying to create division so that they can maintain power because it's a lot easier to divide and conquer than to just conquer.
Yeah, that's why it's like keep your critical thinking, keep your own mindset, don't let your own mind be twisted and fooled. Like always stay aware of what's going on.
If you agree with 90% of the people that are around you, you are probably all wrong about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because for the most part, if you're thinking for yourself, most of your opinions are going to be in disagreement with a lot of people.
Right. Like obviously, you want to, state the facts, know what's really going on before you make a commitment to something. Like even, hate to say this, I believe I'm a Christ believer and all that stuff, but even churches nowadays are very scary. Like
most churches are terrible, in my opinion.
There was times where I was, bamboozled, or or when I noticed something weird, I was like, excuse me, I was trying to kind of tell people hey, this isn't right, or this doesn't seem okay, or I don't think we're doing something that's supposed to be being done,
where the church is kind of going off doctrine.
Yeah, it's like they're staying on doctrine, but like switching some stuff around. It's like, okay, we're not going to talk about how Christ was crucified because we don't want to scare people off, or we don't want to talk about the Holy Ghost.
Yeah.
Because it's like
the whole idea of scaring people off because you're preaching the truth. It's like, well, the truth is scary sometimes. Like you gotta preach to a child, maybe not. There are definitely, because I'm actually listening to the Bible currently at work, and I'm going through some sections in the Bible that are pretty brutal. And they talk about some pretty brutal things that I had not been told about when I was a kid, because honestly, for a kid, not something that you should probably tell your kids about, whether it's in Deuteronomy or Judges. Those are the two that I got through today. And there's some pretty brutal stuff having to do with war and situations and the punishments that should be given to people for doing certain heinous crimes, whether it's sexual crimes or things of that nature, murder, all of that. And the Bible goes into pretty detailed, graphic detail, not necessarily graphic, but they describe some things that to a kid, you probably don't want to talk about that type of stuff. But to adults, you should definitely not be infantilizing the people. In church, there was a reason the church that I went to when I was younger, for the first 30 minutes, it would be, regular church service. And then 30 minutes in, the kids would go into kids' church and would have their own thing that they would do so that they wouldn't be distracting, because kids aren't trying to sit through church for 2 hours. But also they were talking about grown folks' business. And that's where a lot of that type of stuff from Judges and Deuteronomy were probably talked about. I wasn't there, so I don't know. But because I was in kids' church. And then we stopped going to church as regularly by the time I was old enough to sit through it. But anyways, yeah. A lot of churches nowadays are just teaching this, what is it? Baby-proofed, safety, not safety. What's the word I'm looking for? Where they like child-locked version of the Bible, where you put child locks on all the cabinets because you don't want the kids to get into the cabinets. They're teaching this like child-locked, child-proofed version of the Bible to adults, where they're just, it's called prosperity preaching, where they talk about is like, God loves you, which he does. God forgives you, which he does, but they don't talk about the responsibility you have to maintain God's teaching, to improve yourself, right, to repent for your sins, to be a better person than you were yesterday. They just want to get numbers because they make money from it, honestly.
And another thing too is like when you see a church and they integrate like drinking alcohol, you're like, oh yeah, let's go to the bar, have a couple beers, we'll talk about God, read the Bible. Whoa, you don't mix those two.
Yeah. I
mean, it's easy to get lost. Like
communion is one thing where you have communion at the first Sunday of the month, but then if you're going to get drinks to talk about God, that's probably misappropriated.
Which I understand. Like, I know what y'all shooting for. Like, I know what like, let's make these normal people come together, and then offer this that they're something that they're used to. And little by little start trickling, like
weaning them off of it, kind of thing. Not cold turkey, but
which is understandable.
That is understandable, but
still, I wouldn't, because that was one of the downfalls in my personal perspective and opinion that caused a lot of things to go south for myself. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, what? Just drinks here? It's like, yeah, dude, yeah, we're all just drinking within our communion.
Yeah, and so one thing that I can't remember what book it is. For some reason, I want to say it was in Ecclesiastes, but in the Bible it says that having some drink is okay, being a drunkard is not. So essentially, getting drunk, not okay. Having some wine here and there, totally fine. But it also says it is not for kings to drink. So kings should not be drinking whatsoever. And I don't know about you, but I'm trying to be a king. I actually decided to stop drinking last Friday, because I had a work party. I had some drinks at the work party. And then after that, I went and hit legs, and it was just not a good workout whatsoever. It was not a good workout at all. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just not drink indefinitely. I'll probably end up having a drink here and there eventually, but for the near and however long future, no more drinking.
That's good. I actually stopped drinking in like how I used to compared to how I used to back in the day. I used to literally drink like almost every day or every other day. That was bad, bro. That was bad. It's just like, I'm not hating on anyone. It was my choice to do too. Like, I would like to have a beer after work, especially after like a hot day, have a beer, chill out.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It feels nice.
It's relaxing for sure.
But, to the point where like almost every weekend I was drinking like heavy, not doing any good for myself. My vibration was like so low. It was not good for what I was putting out.
Not at all.
And I do want to say, it's like, if you're living that lifestyle, brother, I tell you right now,
it's not worth it. One, you're spending a lot of money on something that is also not good for your physical health. Mm-hmm. It's not good for your financial health, your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health. None of that. It's really just bad for you all around. There's not really much benefit at all.
I tell you this out of love, like, it's not worth your health. It's not worth your mindset. It's not worth your career. It's not worth your loved ones. It's not worth your own personal life. It's not okay. Like, I get it if you want to have a drink here or there, like on your birthday, or you're gathering around some family and friends, I understand. Have a couple drinks, unwind a little bit, but don't get to the point where you get lost in it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It gets very nasty, and that's why the Bible also says stay sober minded, because the devil's always right around the corner.
That's another thing. Yeah, the devil walks around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. That was the scripture that I memorized when I was a little kid. I don't remember exactly where what part of the Bible. I'm pretty sure that was in Genesis. But yeah, that's being sober-minded, because that's where, evil likes to strike, is when you're at your weakest, or when you're compromised, when you have something going on that gets you distracted from the Word of God, and from the path that you should be on. And I'm not trying to get this whole podcast to be all preachy. We've been talking about this for about 10, 20 minutes almost. But in reality, I do think that everybody needs a bit more Jesus in their life. Yeah, that's for sure. And we're not going to be shy about saying that whatsoever. That is, if you deny me on earth, I will deny you in heaven. And I'm not trying to be denied.
That's scary, bro.
That is scary.
It's scary.
It's very scary.
So one of the verses that hit me hard which scares me, when people say fear the Lord. That's one of the verses right there. It says, when you're being judged, and then, he says, depart from me, I never knew you. Oh, ooh, man, brother.
Man, that would
chills.
Oh, yeah,
chills.
That is chills right there. And then another one that I like is the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. That one's really good. And you have to think about that one for a little bit before it really, really makes sense. If you fear God more than you fear everything else, you fear the consequences of disobeying God's word, and you just really try and take that seriously. Suspend your disbelief for a minute. You do that when you watch, Avengers. You suspend your disbelief. That's what you're doing when you watch a sci-fi movie. Suspending disbelief so that you can get caught up in the idea of all of this being true. And then you finish the movie, and obviously that none of that's true unless you're schizo. But anyways, suspend your disbelief for a minute and just, imagine that if you're a non-believer, imagine that it's all true, and that everything that the Bible is saying is true, and the consequences of your actions do play a part in your spiritual life, both on earth and after your life on earth. And just really try and comprehend what that means. The fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. And, just play with that idea. Take it seriously if you want to. Don't if you don't. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life, but that is definitely a recommendation I have in terms of trying to improve yourself in all ways, mentally, spiritually, physically.
Again, it's our opinion. It's the way we like to think. And if you want to take it.
Yeah,
and we're not forcing it down your throat. If you don't want to believe in it, if you don't want to, but it's there for you. It's a seed we like to plant.
Exactly.
But it's up to you if you want to water it or not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And no hate if you don't want to.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's got their own beliefs. There's if I've got lots of friends that believe in absolutely nothing. I got lots of friends that believe in all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't associate with Satanists. I will say that. I don't know any Satanists personally, but if I did, I probably wouldn't know them for long. But yeah, believe what you want to believe. We can still be friends. We can still chat. And I'm not going to preach to anyone that isn't asking about it, but this is our podcast. And this is what we want to tell the people.
Yeah,
because they need more of it in their lives, honestly.
Yeah, if you want to believe in whatever universe or whatever, hey man, that's good for you. I'm just trying to tell you, it's not true and it's not right.
Mm-hmm.
But it's up to you if you want to water that seed or not. I'm not gonna keep forcing things down your throat and slap you with the Bible left and right. No, we're not gonna do that. I don't think that's right either, because even Jesus, when he came down to earth, he did not force people to believe in him.
Yeah.
We still have the free will.
Exactly.
That's the beauty of it. We have the choice to really believe in him and have the faith and to really use that in our life. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? But it's hard. I tell you that. It's harder to be a good person, harder to be a person in Christ. It's harder to stray away from sin than to be a normal human being out in this world doing normal bullshit.
Yeah.
Excuse my language, but yes. Like I'm just being straight facts right now. Like it's
no, absolutely no
hard.
filter.
It is hard.
It is. It's not easy. It is probably one of the most challenging things you'll ever do in your life is not stray from the wisdom of God. And we all struggle to do that every day. Even the most saintly of saints is struggling with their humanity. And anyone that claims that they're perfect is lying to you, and they're hiding something.
And also another thing I want to say, those people that, change, they're like, they used to be like either alcoholics, druggies or whatever, or just very toxic people. And they finally realized that they were toxic or like mean or just not a good person. And they finally realized that and changed. There is beauty in change. And then I feel like you should always give another opportunity to those people that change till
you got to see the actions.
Yeah. You really got to be like, he really did change, or, fuck, you used to be a fucking asshole and, whatever, he hurt me or whatever. But it's like, if they understand that, they apologize, and you see the action of that, they have changed, and then, give them the benefit of the doubt. You know what I'm saying? Like, have some compassion towards them, because I'm pretty sure if you're in their shoes, or if you get to where, you're being judged by God, and you're like, but I believed in you, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, like, I changed. It's like, how would it feel like, oh, but you were this type of person, or you were like an alcoholic, or you were used to like beat your wife or something, I don't know. But you don't do that anymore. It's like, wouldn't you want to like have some forgiveness? Like forgive those, like, Father, forgive us, like we forgive those that offend us. You know what I'm saying?
Paul, if I remember correctly, I could be wrong on which disciple it was, but Paul was persecuting, going around murdering Christians before he ended up being one of, was he a disciple, or?
He used to kill Christians because.
Did he become a prophet, or did he become one of Jesus' disciples? Like, okay, yeah. But anyways, yeah, he used to go around killing Christians, and then had an awakening and came to Christ and was one of the disciples, one of Jesus' most trusted disciples. So everyone can change. Everyone, that doesn't necessarily mean that, like, say someone in your life was just really terrible to you and then they change. That doesn't mean that you need to bring them back into your life, even if they did fully change, because they not saying they don't deserve that, but it's not your responsibility to accept someone into your life that's hurt you a lot. Forgiving them will help you a lot. Not harboring resentment towards that person will help you a lot. Because resentment and negativity generally is not good for your health, mentally, physically, spiritually, all of that. Like, it's crazy how much your mental health really affects your physical health. But yeah, just because someone does change, even if you fully believe that they changed and you're like really happy that they changed and happy for them, that does not mean you have to accept them back into your life. You can choose what people are in your life, because I understand that those memories can be hard to get rid of too.
Absolutely.
But forgiveness is definitely something you should always consider for people that have wronged you. Even if they don't change, even if people don't change, forgiving them also is good, because, like, at the end of the day, we're all human and we all make mistakes. And for one reason or another, we might be one type of way, and it can be hard to become a different way. If you're an asshole your whole life up until you're 35, you've got 35 years of, software hard coded into you of being an asshole. So changing that can be very difficult. And it might take you another 35 years until you're 70 to really fully change.
It takes a lot of reflecting, a lot of self-awareness, reflecting, sitting down, and just really spending some time with you to really clean those messes, clean the person who you once were. Everyone deserves forgiveness. Everyone deserves to be given a second chance. I believe so.
I agree.
Just like God forgives us every day. That's the way I see it. It's like, even like people that have been mean, rude to me and everything, and then I don't know whether they change or something. I like to see the best in them. It's like, you know what? I don't know what you were going through. I don't know why you were like that. But if you say you changed, then you change. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But like, this is who I am now, and I'm not gonna like try to hang out with you as much anymore, because it's like, it's different, It's like I've changed and evolved to the point where I'm just like more self-respect and more self-aware of who I'm hanging out with or who I'm with. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah.
it's like it's like I've had friends back in the day used to be like really rude to me, like use me in certain ways or form, and then now it's like they're not like that anymore. Like they figured out that they were really rude or mean. It's like, hey man, I'm glad you finally developed or matured or grew out of that phase. I just want to say, I hope, good luck, and I love you, and I hope you continue having a great life.
Absolutely.
That's it.
One saying his I love you actually reminded me of something that I always heard was you don't have to like someone, but you should always try and love everyone. Like having love for human beings because you're a human being, they're a human being, and just loving their humanity, loving a person because you understand that life is hard and everyone's going through their own human experience. Your experience is going to be very different from someone else's. The troubles that you've had in your life are going to be either more difficult or less difficult than someone else's. The privileges that you've had are going to be greater or lesser than someone else's. But learning to love someone for their humanity and the fact that they are also one of God's children, despite not liking them necessarily, because there are a lot of people that I do not like and do not want to spend very much time with at all. But for their humanity, I love them. You just gotta love as many people as you can. You gotta have love for a person being a person and going through a human experience and doing the best that they can, because most people are really just doing the best they can, the best they know.
Right.
And, no hate there. I might not want to hang out with you. I might not like you, but I do love you.
Right. Yeah, definitely. So just, spread some love out there. Like we said before, always in our podcast, like be positive, spread love. Just know that everyone's just on this rock in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, pretty much.
And we're just floating through space, making a living.
All we got is each other and God.
Eventually, one day it's going to end. And that's
and there might be some aliens out there somewhere. I don't know.
Aliens or an asteroid heading for Earth on February 14th, 2026.
Hang on, what?
I'm just saying.
Where'd you get that?
I'd be having some dreams,
And we're going to end it off there. On that cliffhanger.
So enjoy your life. Travel a lot. Love a lot of people.
We got 2 years. Well, 1.5 years if that February 14th date is to be believed.
We're all
about a year
smashed.
and a half.
We're all getting smashed.
Yep. The aliens are going to either come and save us or be like, no, you're locked in here.
We're only going to take a couple of you. And whoever believe in Jesus Christ, please get in the ship now. This is
right. This is the rapture.
But the universe, look what the universe caused you, an asteroid.
Anyways, I don't know where this went, but I think this has been a good episode, a good podcast. We got real preachy with it towards the end there, that last half, which I think was good. I think we covered some good ground.
I think so too. I think it was great.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, hopefully you guys join us next time. And we love having you guys here.
We do.
And then, I really want to say thank you for listening to our rants and talks.
Yeah, our rambling, our incoherent rambling.
Appreciate y'all.
But anyways, this has been Some Young Guys. Peace.
Catch you guys later.